Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. I'll start from the beginning, I suppose. We met at our college when we were volunteering at an event together, so that got us talking. We had very nice conversations and good chemistry. So we were pretty good friends, and she told me that she is demisexual before our relationship. So suddenly, she said that she likes spending time with me and asked me out for a movie date. But before the movie date, we just went on an impromptu date and had fun. The movie date was also pretty good. But she had experienced a pretty bad relationship before meeting me. It was with a very orthodox guy from her class who didn't want to be seen with her for religious purposes. They didn't call, text, or even be seen together in public because he was scared of his family finding out. But that didn't stop him from sending unsolicited dick pics to her. When she finally convinced him for a date, he forgot all about it and stood her up. The relationship went on for a year before she ended things. She, very understandably, ended up feeling very suffocated in the relationship and developed a lot of commitment issues. She has panic attacks whenever she thinks about being in a committed relationship and her mind spirals. So we were dating, but not officially as boyfriend/girlfriend. We were two people who liked each other and were dating each other exclusively, and that she needs some time before she can call herself my girlfriend, which I had no problem with. Because labels don't really matter to me, I just liked spending time with her, which I told her to take her time. She's the nicest person I've ever met, BTW. Gets regularly scammed out of her money nice. She's also an introvert, like me, and to quote, has a small social battery, which I can understand, and gets exhausted dealing with people. She has a very strong work ethic and has a lot of projects and studies, way more than me, so she is quite busy and stressed out and generally tired. So enough backstory, I guess. Whenever I asked her if we could do something together, not like dates, like studying together, watching something together, etc., she would refuse most of the times, saying she was busy or didn't want to, which I had no problem with, and I told her so. But she kept apologizing even though I said it's fine and don't worry, and would start panicking and start feeling suffocated, and say she isn't ready for couple-wise things yet. I asked her if she liked spending time with me, to which she said, sometimes. And sometimes I want to be by myself, which is normal and understandable, to which she replied, I don't know if I want it to be more than sometimes. And that she couldn't tell if she liked me romantically or as a friend because of her sexuality. Back then, I asked you out for a movie because you were interesting. Never thought I would have to consider anything else back then, and now it's catching up to me, and that she doesn't know what she wants. Or if she wants anything, and that she felt like she was stringing me along and playing with my feelings and was afraid she was being controlling, and that made her feel terrible and panic more. Recently she has been even more stressed out, exams are near. So she said she wants some space from all human interactions. At first, she thought it was me she wanted space from, but then realized she couldn't deal with people in general right now. Anyway, she said that she wanted me to not call her or meet her in person, and texting was fine. She has been pretty distant recently too, and said she needs to think about stuff and sort out her mess of a brain and figure out what she wants. She asked for 3 to 4 weeks time, and said that she'll talk to her therapist, because, in her words, I was nice, kind, interesting, but still her brain won't allow her to be happy. So anyway, after 3 to 4 weeks we may break up. Doesn't look like there is much I can do aside from giving her her space, and just waiting, which is horrible for me, just waiting for a decision and not being able to do anything about it. I tried to cheer her up today because she was sad, but she told me to leave her alone. I hate not being able to do anything to make her feel better. Also, this is my first relationship, and I must say I've gotten attached to her. Knowing that we may be breaking up in a month is just sad and unbearable to me. My life has been derailed these past few days. I'm very sad and don't know how to deal with this. I really want this to work. I like her a lot, and she is genuinely a very good person. Makes soft toys for underprivileged kids and all. Also, we have very great chemistry. So, what can I do to make this work? Doesn't look like much, but is there anything? And how do I deal with the potential breakup in a healthy way? I would want to remain friends if that happens. Also, I kind of feel that it is a bit unfair that I put in a lot of effort into the relationship, and she's barely been with me for 2 months, while her ex was such a piece of shit and she was with him for a year. But I understand her issues. I may be a little selfish saying this, but yeah. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. Apologies for the long post, I have no one to talk to about what I feel. My boyfriend, for months, opened up to me about a horrible time in his life, before we met, where he dealt with depression due to family trouble, running away from home, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, being broke, betrayal, and having no friends or anyone to understand what was going on with him. He told me that during that time he met up with an escort, not for the purpose of sex, but to be able to have someone to smoke, drink, and talk to about his situation without judgment. To be able to go through that, he booked the massage package since it was the cheapest way to go through it, and that when she arrived, he said that he didn't want the massage and that he just wanted someone to listen and be there for him like a friend due to the depression. She obliged, but told him that she couldn't drink or smoke and that he couldn't touch her as a rule, but she can. He said he didn't want to do so and didn't push her to smoke and drink and told her that she can just hug him while they talk. He told me that they talked about her experiences in the industry and how she told him that she willingly chose this path so she can have easy money to go to and finish her education along with an experience with an abusive customer and that she couldn't call the authorities. He felt bad and gave her whatever money he had at the moment to help her out. She told him that if he wants a massage, she knows a good and cheap place where he can get one to get rid of back pains he would get. He assured me that he didn't make her do anything against her will and there was respect. Weeks after that, he was back at home and the situation with his family got worse. His suicidal thoughts returned and was contemplating on jumping from an overpass, but thought of the burden he would give for the people under it. The place he was in was sketchy, and he was waiting instead for the chance to get robbed or murdered until he saw the massage parlor the escort told him about. He went to the place unaware of what he would experience and booked a regular massage in order to relieve his stress. He said that the massage was good and helped with his back along with the thoughts he had, and during the moment, the massage lady unexpectedly grabbed his privates, started massaging it and asked if it was good. He nervously said that it did and asked why was she doing this. She told him that it was part of the service, he should just pay extra, and that while they were talking, she said had a family and what he was doing was charity for her. He said he felt ashamed that he did that but thought of the conversation they had. He went back to the parlor some time after that experience when his back pain returned and that he only really wanted a normal massage and because the place was affordable and really helped his pain, but during this return, his privates were grabbed again and this time, there was no communication or warning, and when he saw that the massage lady was getting undressed, he quickly got out of there because he didn't want any of those anymore. I thought that maybe it was assault or harassment for him because he said that all he wanted those times was a normal massage and didn't know that he would experience all that. He added that on the first instance, he wouldn't hold the lady liable if that was assault because he was on a destructive phase and didn't care about what would happen to him then. On the second instance, he said that I can say that it was harassment because he wanted nothing else and they did not even bother to check up on him when they did all those, and that he left because he didn't want anything more. During this, I asked him why he didn't seek therapy then, and he said that he didn't have the best idea of therapy back then, that it was difficult to get where we're from. He is a good man and wants nothing more than to see me happy. He would deal with my mental health in the most loving way, and I feel like a hypocrite for not being understanding enough about his situation then, while I had my own share of destructive phases with psychedelics, self-harm, and sexual acts, where I truly didn't want it, and he showed nothing but love and understanding to me, despite how painful it was for him to hear it. I want to get over my own judgments, and to live my life together giving him the same love he shows me because he matters to me, but I have trouble coming to terms with what has happened to him. He said that all those that he experienced made him feel hard to love and that he wanted to be honest and have a clean slate on both ends, but I was judgmental and I feel horrible. TLDR, I'm 24F, struggling to understand my boyfriend's 24M past experiences, and I feel like a hypocrite because he took mine with love and understanding while I was judgmental towards his. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing. Thank you. So for context, I have known my now ex for about 2 years prior to dating for 9 months. He was mentally ill for sure, and it seemed like he was healing and improving before I decided to give dating him a shot. I was extremely apprehensive about it, but he sounded extremely sure that it was something he could handle. I should have declined the proposal and lost him as a friend. That's on me. The relationship was actually enjoyable, if not very tedious at times as some can be. However, things took a turn for the worse near the end of the relationship 9 months later. I was trying to figure out how to break up with A for about 3 weeks as we hardly talked very much at the time anymore and were long distance, so it was hard to meet up to talk about it either. He decides that he wants to make things up to me for disappointing me and driving me to the point of not wanting things to work out anymore. So he asks me to give him a week to make me feel the way I did about the relationship the first week we started dating. To literally no one's surprise, he didn't make a single ounce of time for me. He had time to help his uncle or his cousin, time to sleep all day, work for 2 hours online from home, before doing 2 online homework assignments, and calling it a day of let's call my GF for 10 minutes, and then say I'm too tired and have to go. I'd like to say I've never once wanted to make him feel less than or that we were in competition, but his complaints of how hard he was working every day and had no time for me really drove me to the edge in that 9th month. I am in medical school full-time, have 2 jobs, and am raising my younger sister, who is 15. I always made sure at least at night I had time to hang out with him for a few hours or worked extra to have gas money to come and see him. He didn't even get a job until 7 months into our relationship and relied on me to drive to him, on top of refusing to get a back-breaking part-time job for any sort of help financially, and said if my family is willing to give me money, why should I have to work? We'll come back to this in a second to elaborate on my hatred for this comment. So I asked him if he knew what work-life balance was. Was that an asshole comment? Probably. I think he needed it though. He said he didn't have to be patronized by me and said, let's end it here. So I agreed. He did not take me agreeing to the end of the relationship lightly. At all. He decided 2 days later to blow up my socials with so many nasty things like how I ruined him or how I manipulated him into feeling like he couldn't find or wasn't deserving of better so he would stay with me. How I was disgusting for enjoying certain things and how I ruined some life experiences for him, etc. I have only ever been honest with him, perhaps to a fault at times. A good example is how on dates I would get dressed up, makeup, a clean nice outfit that was styled, hair done, showered, perfume, teeth brushed etc., and he would take me to a nice restaurant, nice as in you are meant to wear formal clothes there, in his Christmas reindeer pajama bottoms and cowboy boots, not brushing his teeth and maybe showered and just calgon. He used to dress up to go on dates with me in the beginning and things got progressively worse in terms of him taking care of himself. He once took us out somewhere and we ended up stranded in the middle of nowhere because he couldn't be fucked to tell me he had no gas to go anywhere. So I told him it gives me massive anxiety to never have emergency funds or a backup plan, and being stranded in a place I didn't know anybody for help in was too much for me. He had to ask to borrow my emergency funds for enough gas to get back to his house, then has to ask his grandmother for money to pay me back, the same guy who says he's ready to be a husband and father. Which in fact, he did tell me that he is upset at me for being upset at him and for not wanting him to hold my hand when I was upset at him. Can you tell he has an anxious attachment style yet? Another example was how he was given a grant of almost $2,500 for a back pay in school funding, and he immediately spent it the day it got deposited on a $2,300 gun. I can't explain how mad I was at him for not thinking to put it into his junky car, or gas, or school books, or literally anything more productive than a gun that he could finger fuck in the corner of his shoebox bedroom at his grandma's house and complain about using 2 storage bins for a TV stand and not having a blanket for his bed. Phew. He proposed X4 to me in multiple occasions I would consider bad timing too. My family hated seeing him and how he treated me. If that speaks volumes to anyone here. My dad said I was nicer to him than he deserved, and my mom, who tried not to say anything bad about anyone, says he is too immature and irresponsible for me. So to bring it to the present, I moved on and invested more of my time into making friends that are girls. I haven't had many since high school, so I was excited for this. I also am really good friends with an ex from when I was 16 who is international. That relationship was more friends than anything else. I don't send nudes or anything, so our relationship was just based on talking. We agreed mutually that we weren't interested in each other like that at all, and we talk occasionally since it ended on good terms. That friend has a GF currently, and we are respectful of each other. I knew we talked with each other and asked me not to, so I cut conversations for about 6 months. International friend was understanding, so it didn't affect our relationship at all. Fast forward to post-breakup us, and I'm busy with a new job I took on to fill in the gap of the relationship. I apparently hadn't done much healing or moving on. After he blew up my phone, he disappeared because I didn't curse him out or get angry at him for tearing down my character. I was very hurt. I may be stoic, but I'm human too. I have never felt the need to block anyone before, but I had to cut the conversation short because it was too hurtful. The last of what he said was, "I hope you find someone who will let you walk all over them or something." I only said that I wish him the best and he finds what he's looking for. So he came back and apologized and asked me to be his friend. I said I didn't have the heart to forgive his words at the moment and that I couldn't really talk to him. He left and called me again 3 weeks later and told me he couldn't find anyone else to be friends or otherwise with him. At this point I could care less. I just really wanted to hear WTF he had to say to me so I could decide whether or not to block his number from my service provider instead of just my phone. He asks if I wanted to hear what he did after we broke up and how he feels the relationship was without me commenting anything or arguing. So I just listened to him. My ex sits on the phone and tells me he hooked up with a Tinder girl, then cried on the way home. Then he says he feels our relationship was me emotionally manipulating him and giving him a crumb of affection to have him hooked on being obsessed with me. Then he said I made him feel worthless and that I made him regress as a person throughout our relationship. I put up with a lot of nonsense already. I felt like, and I have zero love, respect, or care for him anymore. I can't even tell him verbally how I felt about any of it because when I try he says I'm putting on the blame on him and he is just an honest, loving, understanding man and I'm a cold, callous, emotionally unavailable woman. Then in the next breath he asks me if I want to come over to his place. I said I only go to someone's house if they're family or my partner, so no. And then he says nothing will happen, he's not going to try and kiss me or anything. I feel like I'd have to be extremely dumb to drive 3.5 hours just to watch a TV show with my ex-BF. TLDR, my recent ex-boyfriend and I broke up on bad terms. He tells me I'm a horrible person who emotionally manipulated him and then asks me to come over. He says nothing will happen, but also says he can't find a new girlfriend elsewhere. He then asks me if we can still be friends and wants us to call and interact on our socials like we used to. I'm going to mail his stuff to him once one of my jobs pays me this weekend. Should I block him on everything and just write a letter telling him all I feel about the situation? Or maybe I should just mail his stuff back to him without saying a word? Or do you think it would be better to call him one last time and tell him everything before blocking him? I'm really glad to get this stuff off of my chest somewhere, TBH. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.